Boy, we back in the Browns Neighborhood podcast. But I got a legend this time. I done got rid of those rookies. Like Eric Thompson and them, you know what I'm saying? Them like rookies, man. I had to go get me a veteran. Somebody that know the real. You feel what I'm saying? Huh, Buddha?
Yes, sir.
That's my nephew. He just on the backside of the mountain. But Bill, it's a lot to talk about, man, because you've been around a long time.
Yes, sir.
Boy, you was one of the best looking guys in the neighborhood. A lot of us was looking pretty bad. You was a good looking dude, and you dressed real good. Looked sharp. Bill, you was looking good. You dressed nice and all that stuff when you be up at the gym, you know, and Eric and all of us, you know, be there. You be in new clothes, fresh socks. You know, we wear whatever we could find. You out here like with fresh gear on. I used to be like, man, where you getting the money at? You know? But I'm talking to you and you was, you know, you saying how at the high school you became custodians and things like that.
Yeah,
man,
right after high school.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Who told you about it?
Actually, my mom used to work at Carver Junior High School. She was a teacher.
Is that right?
And she told us, hey, you and Stan and Johnny and them, y'all need to get down there to the school board. They hiring custodians.
Right.
Because, see, I couldn't play after high school.
Right.
Because I had a reconstructed hip in the 11th grade. So
yes, sir.
They wouldn't let me play sports at all. So I said, I got to get a job, you know.
Well, how you couldn't play sports? How you was up at Drew shooting jumpers?
That was 2 years after the doctor released me.
Oh, okay.
Like in 74.
Yeah.
End of 74.
Right.
You know, he released me and said, okay, but no more football.
No more football.
He said just basketball, baseball, whatever, but no more football.
So you grew up over on 96?
Yeah, 96 in Compton, Avenue. I'm currently there now. Took over the property from my pops.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So y'all own that property?
Yeah, he been on it. It's been paid for like over 40-some years.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So, boy, that means, you know, somebody had some brains in the family, you know, to get the property and still got it today.
Yeah.
40-some years.
I've been there 21 years since I left the IE.
Is that right?
In 2001.
Yeah, man, I see. Y'all, they need to know about Bill, because, see, you know, we playing around as kids, 10 and 11. Eric should have knew something going on.
Yeah.
He lived on this block.
Yeah.
So you grew up there. That's how you ended up going to Jordan.
Yeah, right.
So where you went to middle school at?
I went to Markham.
You went to Markham?
Because it was right down the street.
Right.
See,
Man, wasn't it tough?
I was supposed to go to Drew. Because I went to 96 Elementary.
You was right in the middle.
Right. I was in the middle where they said 92nd was the border. If you lived on this side, you had to go to Markham. And if you lived on the other side, you had to go to Drew.
Was it tough going to Markham? Was they bad?
No, my sisters, I had one sister, rest in peace. She was kind of like on the rowdy side. So they kind of like set the tone for me when I got there.
Oh, you talking about a girl set the tone?
Yeah, she was something else, rest in peace, you know. My sister Johnny, that's right over me, and then my other sister Minnie was right over her. So they had established what they was fighters, you know, with anybody.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So they established when I got there, it was like, that's Minnie and them, little brother, you know.
So did you play ball for Jordan?
Yeah.
Basketball?
Basketball, played a little football till I got hurt.
Right.
Yeah, basketball, yeah.
So you've been around sports pretty much all your life.
Yeah. You know, from the surgery that I had, it was like the doctor was saying he may not walk no more. But I wanted to prove him wrong, you know.
Right.
So my mother put me in Rancho Los Amigos for like 4 months.
Yeah, Rancho's still there, too.
Still there, yeah. I still go to therapy there, but for my prosthetic thing.
Right.
But, yeah, I stayed in there for 4 months and did all the rehab, but the doctor wouldn't release me to play. So I only really got 1 year of high school, was in the 10th.
Okay.
So I was already like 6'3", 180 pounds in the 10th grade.
Is that right? Nice size.
Nice size, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So
I didn't want to go to Jordan because we moved. My pops bought a bigger house on 94th in Wadsworth, right across Central.
Is that right?
Right directly around the corner from where Buster lived, you know, Bernard Williams.
Yeah, so what kind of work was Pops doing?
My pops worked for the sheriffs.
Is that right?
Yeah, in Torrance.
Man.
Inside the jailers, you
Yeah.
know, in Torrance.
Yeah.
So
Well, he had a pretty good head on his
yeah,
shoulder
my
because
mom was a school teacher, so
wow.
Carver Junior High. So, you know, we had uncles that owned barbecue restaurants.
Is that right?
So yes, like the family thing was kind of like we was pretty.
So no
much
wonder
well
you
off.
come from pretty good stock, man.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So, yeah, so, you know, we left there at the end of the 8th grade and bought that house on 94th.
Right.
And then
But y'all still owned it, the property.
Still owned. He had his sisters coming out here. My dad, 4 sisters, all of them rest in peace, came from Louisiana. So that's why he got the 4 duplexes next door, so they would have somewhere to go. And at the time, they was like single, didn't have no kids, no husband. And then they got out here and got families and got married and wound up buying their own house.
So Pop had a vision, man.
Yeah, he had a plan.
Yeah, he definitely did, man. That's
Being back in that slave era that he came through, he knew what it was.
Right.
Because he used to always tell me one thing. He used to say, son, you know, live what you preach, you know.
Yeah.
He say, you don't really need no fan club to prove what kind of man you are.
That's right.
Just do you and they'll follow you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way I've always lived by.
Right.
You know?
Man, well, you kicking knowledge right now, you know, on this Brown's Neighborhood podcast. I feel real good to have you too, man, you know. So, you know, and as all this time go by, maybe, you know, want to talk about who real legends is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That been in the trenches for years and years, you know. I mean, even though guys like Cass that's still out there, you know, balling and, you know, I think he played for the Cheetahs too, don't he?
His son does.
His son does.
See, he played for me, Big Cass, for years on the Cheaters. And then when his son came along and started playing at Long Beach State, he was All-American, but they did him wrong in the draft, you know.
Right.
Saying he was too small and all. You know how they do that. And
so did he go overseas?
yeah,
and do
he's
something?
still there. He just won back-to-back championships.
Is that
just
right?
the other day, yeah, over there. He's the man over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about his 12th year over there.
Grew up over there. Well, his daddy grew up over there on Central.
Yeah, right on Central.
You know what I'm saying? So
81st and Central.
I like to tell people good things come out the neighborhood.
Cass, a stand-up. You know, he raised him and Lady Ware, you know, his wife.
Right.
They raised them boys well.
Right.
Respectable, you know.
Yeah.
Stayed with the ball, and Lil Cass made it work, and he came back to his parents, you know.
Yeah. Man, Pharrell, quit playing with Eric. That's Eric. Man, Eric is one of the Mary Street guys. He here supporting his partner, you know. He in the background playing with a water bottle. I don't want to have to throw him out of the stands. You know what I'm saying? So now, Bill, you went to Jordan. Did you graduated?
Yes, sir.
Graduated. Well, you had to. Your mother was an educator.
Yeah, she wasn't playing that.
That's right, man. So that's boy. I'm just thinking about it. You know.
Actually, I had a cast on my left leg when I graduated.
Is that
right? It
right?
happened like me at my junior year, and I couldn't do nothing from then on.
So you know, because a lot of us we playing up at Drew. When you start coming up to Drew, trying to be the king of the court. You know, after you done had all this stuff going on, you still want to shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Looking
actually,
sweet.
It was kind of tough when I came to Mary Street, you know.
Oh, okay.
With Eric now.
Yeah.
Because none of them didn't really know me.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it was like, because they all went to Drew and Fremont and all that.
Right,
and I went to the Markham and Jordan in 96 Elementary. So they all went to Russell.
Right.
So they didn't really know much.
You didn't live even a mile away, and they acted like you covered to a whole nother.
And yeah, that's the story. They started on me at some of them, the guys at Drew. You know, man, where you from? You went to Crenshaw? And I said, no, bro, I'm from the hood.
Right.
I went to the doghouse.
The doghouse,
and
for
they
sure.
Was like, no, I was like, yeah, bro. You know. So I always had it out with them Fremont dudes. They always,
man, well, you know.
Yeah, they always had something, you know, Myron Ryan, remember him? Yeah, he always had something to say.
Well, see, I can't say nothing because I got some Pathfinder. I'm a part dog.
I was there.
You know, and men had to work hard in the neighborhood to to prove who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
They didn't give you nothing in the neighborhood.
Yes.
You had to work for it.
But
like I say, I live right down the street, and I'm running around, and I'm seeing you. You know, I'm a little kid. I'm out here, and ain't got much, and you running around with new clothes on and dressing like I'm like, who is this dude think he got some money? I'm a little dude. He put his wallet down. I might try to get it. You know what I'm saying? He got on fresh gear every day. What he coming up to Drew dressed like that? Where we from? We from Watts, man.
Yeah.
They
didn't know I was from Watts.
Yeah, you was from Watts too.
For sure, a real one. Like the original Avenues. My cousin Jesse Big Rat was one of the Adolph Hartwick them and them dudes. Craig Munson and them and them dudes.
What?
I was raised by these dudes.
Is that right?
Yeah, me and Thomas Norwood and Terry Smith and all
you
of
came
us.
up with a lot of big dogs then. Norwoods was something else over
when you
there
go
on
to
90.
Jordan, back in that area, it's like they push you under the rug. Because most dudes didn't want to go to Jordan. They were scared to. Because of the reputation that Jordan had.
Right.
They was like a real bad.
Yeah.
We used to walk down 103rd to school, and them guys be sitting on the brick wall with guns and stuff,
Yeah.
But they didn't know once you become an athlete at Jordan, then you was protected.
Right.
If you played for the school and got good things going, they was gonna take care of you.
Yeah.
Couldn't nobody bother you. Probably found out about
that. I'm a champion over there. You know what I'm saying? Ed, you hear that? Champion, dog.
Yeah.
Everywhere I went, I was a champion. I don't know why.
Henry Washington raised me.
Yeah.
He showed me the way.
Yeah.
About being a man other than sports.
Right.
In school.
He was a good
important.
man. He, Coach Washington. Yeah, he helped a lot of kids too.
Yeah, he did. He always told me him and my pops was cool. And he always told me, he said, you're gonna be special one day. Keep doing what you're doing. So
when you moved on Mary, how you start coming up to Drew playing and look here, I'm gonna say my gym, like I owned the gym. What's up?
Actually, a lot of the real ball players went to 96 street school with me.
Is that right?
Ozzie Smith.
Ozzie went to 96?
Yeah, Pookie, Robert Smith.
But Ozzie grew up on this side of 92nd.
Oh, he went to 96th Street.
Is that right?
Yeah, Ozzie, Carl Mongs.
So y'all went to elementary together?
We went to elementary school together. Robert Smith, from UNLV, played Pookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all went to 96.
Well, there's some good stuff come out over there on 96.
So they start moving on.
I don't want to say it was better than Russell, though. We got to give Russell some credit now, what I'm saying, boy,
But we got Ozzie in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And we got Pookie, UNLV's greatest.
Well, let me say this. We got average guys in the Hall of Fame, the neighborhood Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm one of the Hall of Famers from the neighborhood. Eric is too. You is too.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
When you make it out of there and you surviving and you still doing good,
right?
Boy, we're going to put you in the Hall of Fame of the neighborhood. You see what I'm saying?
It was difficult dealing with them dudes when I came on Mary because they didn't allow
Was Mary kind of tough?
No, Mary was more of like a sports street. Everybody was playing street football and
all that,
and stuff, family type,
Yeah, it was definitely family.
I
don't know. That was an Andy Griffith type street.
E.T. them, his moms and pops them was always nice, and stuff. It
was real nice till you got to 89th Street.
Right, when you get down. Well, dude and them wasn't that active back then with them, dude and them. They were still young.
Right, right.
It
hadn't grew up yet.
Yeah, it was Duck kind of, his little era came along that's kind of set the trend for that.
Yeah.
But mostly when dude was coming up, as a youngster.
Right.
With my nephews, Davon and Darian them, they was right along in that era.
So tell me, how did you meet Coach Al?
Wills? At Drew.
At Drew?
Yeah, Tommy was working there, which was Pam's uncle. And I was with his daughter.
Okay.
And he kept telling me, he said, man, they be balling up at the gym, Bill, come up there. So one day I just went up there one evening around like a Tuesday, and these dudes was balling, you know, it was Ray Lou.
Well, how did they start calling you Steel Bill?
That happened, it was a fight that I had. I was up at Drew, actually, right?
Yeah.
Now, just because I went to Markham don't mean I didn't go up to Drew.
Okay.
So I was up at Drew,
okay,
you know, at the time, and Space Ghosts, you know, from Bishop, they was up there, you know, and, you know, they was up there trying to do some crazy stuff, you know. Right. So dude just, you know, he's just pressed up on me. I was like, bro, I don't even get out like that. Yeah, so we got the Apple machines. So we got the scrapping. They just, you know, Mr. Williams, that's how I got close with Mr. Williams, because he had to break it up.
Right.
And the little security guards they had wasn't really nothing, you know.
Right.
But I wasn't even supposed to be on the campus. I was just up there, you know, hanging around with the guys I went to elementary with, Michael Miller and them, and all them dudes, Daryl Hooper and all them dudes that went with me, just coming to see them. I'm still in the hood. I'm on 96.
Right. Now you still in the hood?
Yeah. So it's like, wasn't like I was way out of bounds.
Right.
But, you know, I had to crack him up. So that's
when
they started calling me Steel Bill, and it's been that way for like 50 years.
Don't start calling you Steel Bill because of a fight?
Yeah, that's what it was like. Bill, you know how they used to say Bill stole, you know, do you know how they say
Bill stole on me?
Yeah.
Hey, you know, sometimes you better fire first. You know what I'm saying?
And dude wind up going to high school with me.
Is that right?
At Jordan.
Wow.
Played on the football team, too.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Man.
His brother, Big Eddie Larson, he was like the big, like 300 pounds damn near. Guard, you know, blocking.
Yeah.
All them bishops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the name Drew still rang in the day.
Today.
You know, still rang in the day.
Right.
You end up meeting Alvin Wills.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of people always wonder, all the kids playing for Drew, you know, Drew basketball team.
Right.
How did the Drew League ever even come in existence?
We was just sitting around in the gym after our little runs, you know. Yeah. And then Al just was like, man, you know what? We should start a league, because everybody, let's say, Al, we need to get a league going. Because at the time, the Crenshaw League was it was really at Cal State LA at the time. And that league had pushed the Crenshaw League into existence. And then Alvin was like, man, yeah, we should get something started. So we used to play on Friday nights, 3 games, and all day Saturday, because we couldn't get the permit on Sunday. Right. You know, they had something going on with the school board at the time. Right. So that's how it really started.
So that's how the first thing got started.
Yeah, that's how it
Did
started.
you help any young guys coming up, you know, because I was talking to Pokey. Right. Pokey said you helped him out. Sure. You know, Pokey was trying to tell me he was giving the Cass a run for his money. You know?
He was giving all of them a run for their money.
Was he?
Pokey could shoot. That's what he could do from long range. Accurate, too. You know,
Was he?
And he was quick, and he was bow-legged, pigeon-toed. And he was quick,
I just trained him some of the stuff. Socks too.
Yeah, I just trained him some stuff. I used to take him out to Play Del Rey. We used to run the beach, you know, the sand.
Is that right?
Stuff, get his legs right. Then I took him to Trade Tech.
Is that right?
I played at Trade Tech in 75, 76.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I took him over there. I didn't really go there to play. I went to go there to take air conditioning, refrigeration trade. Wow. I was already like married, but wasn't married to my 2 oldest daughters' mother, Pam, Tommy's niece.
Wait a minute.
We had already bought a house.
You was married, but you wasn't married.
It was like I was married to her, you know, but we wasn't legally never married.
Okay.
And her mom had pushed us into buying this house, and I was just 20.
Wow.
And she was like turning 8. She was 18 going on 19, class of 75 from Locke. So we was pushed into it, like it just happened so fast, you know. I'm like, wow.
But that's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, it was cool. It was cool, you know. She set us up to
try to buy a house at that young.
Yeah, and you know, we was like single tenants the way they had it set up. Marker Properties in Inglewood. It was Mayor Bradley's daughter, Sharon Bradley, that was the broker. So she was like, okay, I can set it up like Rosetta Bates is the head, because she already had property, and William and Pam which is me, you know, is like single tenants.
Okay.
That's how we had it set up.
Man.
And it lasted about 10 years.
Is that right? No, that's good, man. That's just telling these young families, you know, these young men and women that they can do it too.
Yeah, it happened so fast. I was like, wow. You know, it wasn't really like too much out of the crib, you know, at my pop's house. I was like,
but man,
it was a blessing.
Somebody got to tell you though,
because it showed me how to maneuver later on in life with myself.
Yeah.
You know, when I made a bunch of money, you know, playing the horses back in '89, you know, and I said,
now, who taught you how to play the horses, man?
Just one day, I just went out to Hollywood Park.
Is that right?
Like in 77, 78, I was in junior. I just left junior college, going to Fullerton, and I said, I want to go see how to play horses. I didn't know nothing about them.
Right.
And I was just out there, and I met this older guy that been doing this like back in the 50s, and he was like, he said, "You pretty intelligent, you got heart." You know, because he was giving me horses, and most people that come out there new and don't know what they doing, they'll bet like $2. He was giving me horses, and I'd be putting 30 on. He was like, "That's too much. Just calm down," you know. That's when he said, "You got heart." He said, "You'll make a lot of money because you ain't scared to bet." In other words, you know. So that later on, that's, you know, like, and matter of fact, I hit one pick six there in 78, 79. Me and Antoine, you can ask him.
What Antoine?
Raby.
Antoine?
We was on the bus. We rode because I was staying on Mary.
Young Raby?
Yeah, we rode the bus to Hollywood Park that day.
Is that
Got
right?
off by the Forum, and you know how you walk across the Forum to go to Hollywood Park. And I hit one for 17,000. He was with me. He'll tell you when you see
I
him.
bet you hit 17,000 with me. I'm gonna be like, nigga, we was together. You need to be breaking me off.
You know, I get, you know, I always
I'm
take care
gonna
of
be
my
like,
boy.
hey, give me at least 3, you know.
His dad, Jack, used to have a station wagon, and he used to pick all of us up to go out to the track. Now, he trained me a lot how to play, too, because he was real good, Jack.
Wow.
Yeah. Me and Cook, used to meet up.
When you talk, it was like, you know, the community was together.
Yeah, it was real together. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're
Sure.
talking about Raven, then you're talking about saying his dad, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, people was helping one another.
They come pick me up on Mary Street. We be playing the night Hornets races at Hollywood Park. Jack used to come, blow, up. I run out the house, jump in the wagon, and we go on out there. Yeah.
Wow.
Antoine know me, and Antoine go.
Is that right?
And Cookie go way back. Because, see, when I moved to the IE, Cookie was already staying in Pomona, Stevenson Ranch. Up in there. He had been staying there, and he kept, I used to meet him at the fairgrounds.
That's a pretty good area, Stevenson Ranch.
Yeah,
over there.
I used to meet him at the fairgrounds. They had horse off-track betting, and we used to meet up there, me and Cook.
Wow.
When I moved to Ontario. And he said, "Man, I'm going to be there about 10. Where you going to be at?" I said, "The clubhouse." He was like, "Yeah, okay." We meet right up in the valet, you know.
Yeah, so look here, man. You say Alvin Wills was pretty much the man who's really started
For sure.
the Drew League.
Yeah, for
Alvin Wills.
For
Coach
sure.
Al that was coaching all the Drew Royals and all
For
of that.
sure. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And Chris Wren, Petey,
Yeah.
was the first official to referee in the Drew.
Is that right?
Matter of fact, he used to referee 5 and 6 games by himself.
Wow.
You know how they have 2 and 3 refs now? And short as he is, then nobody want to fight him, or if he call a call. You know how people do nowadays. Their tempers is bad now. You know, they want to fight us in a minute.
Fight the ref?
Yeah, and I mean, they never did that to.
Pete.
And it was tough in there back then in the 70s.
Yeah.
It was some tough dudes.
Wow.
You know, the Michael Coopers, you know, and stuff like that. Jeff Calhoun, them, you know, from Jordan.
Yeah.
All the Jordan boys, Freddie Blue, them, you know.
Is that right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it been getting to start to grow.
Yeah, I went and got them actually because Dino had a team called the Dreamers.
In the Drew League? But then?
Dino was coaching at 16.
Is that right?
His own team called the Dreamers, and they was winning chips. I think they won a couple of them.
Wow.
At
whoa.
16, he was going to Fremont. I can't make this up. So they had won.
And Al was the founder at that time.
Al was the founder.
But Dino was coaching in the league.
In the league, his team
At
called
16?
team called the Dreamers, 16.
I mean, that's
11th grade
that's
at
pretty
Fremont.
good,
I
man.
can't make this up. And I was on the mic because Alvin gave me the mic. Like when we first started, he was like, "Here, Bill, do something." Because I used to be singing a lot, in the gym.
Yeah.
Because my pops was a singing minister.
Wow.
Used to be with the Mighty Clouds of Joy.
Is that right?
Yeah, so.
Boy, you come from some good stock,
for
huh?
sure. Yeah, so
dog.
I used to be singing. They always be like, Bill, sing this, sing that, And then when Al started it, and he had got this little funny-looking mic, they wasn't as upscale like now.
Yeah.
And he said, here, Bill, do something with this. So I just started announcing
You started, is that right?
And then next thing you know, White Shadows came calling.
Is that right? So, boy, you part of the, you part of the interior of this stuff.
For sure. I mean,
you were there when it started.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I basically did it from the heart.
And that's
because one, I wanted to go to Drew, but I couldn't because of the rules of the 90-second thing.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So when the Drew League really started off, it just came to be like a every summer thing for me.
Right.
Even when I moved to the IE, I would make my way down here on the weekend, even rent a hotel or something close by.
Well, you sure have a lot of love for the Drew.
Sure.
Drew period.
Right.
Not only just the Drew League,
right,
but just the Drew foundation of it all, period. Right. People, there's a lot of guys, but you are one of the legends of that.
Yes. They named me as one of the forefathers. Is Alvin, me, Dino, and Butch, Dino brother William.
Mm-hmm.
We had a little book out about that.
Is that right?
The forefathers, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so they all give me big love, and when I was going through my surgeries, the Drew League stepped up, took care of me,
Yeah,
for real,
man. Mm-hmm. I like that sincereness that you speaking and talking. You know what I'm saying? Because for to know it, you have to live it and be in it and things like that. Yeah. And so as time went on and things began to grow, then how did actually Dino become the man of the Drew League? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, for sure. Alvin started working for the gas company.
Okay.
And he couldn't do it on the weekends. He had another obligation, to take care of, because he was married, had a family. Mm-hmm. And the Drew wasn't paying nothing. We didn't have no sponsors back then. It was just like a neighborhood teams come together and play, pay the referee.
But that was the beginning.
That's the beginning. So when Alvin took that job, and actually they had closed the league down for that summer.
Wow.
And then gave it to Dino, and Dino cranked it back up like the summer of 85 and 84 and 85.
Okay.
And he took it from there and ran with it.
Dino started the engine back up.
Started back up.
That's good, man. Thank you, Dino, wherever you at, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, he
for starting
kept
back
it going.
Up.
He been going until, because at that time we was like the little mom's pop league.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wanted to come to the east side because of our reputation.
Mm-hmm.
All these gangs around.
Mm-hmm.
In the same little area. So dudes on the west side. So I started going to the games with Crenshaw and recruiting dudes.
Is that right?
Yeah, and guaranteeing them dudes that it wouldn't be a problem.
That's cool.
Going over to Crenshaw League, getting all those Crenshaw guys, them dudes that was playing over there, they felt comfortable because it was the Joe Weekly League, Willie West,
Right.
Crenshaw.
Mm-hmm.
So they finally started coming in the late 70s, in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Few of them started coming over, breaking that barrier.
Right.
And then we was at the lowest. It was like Crenshaw, the Goodman League.
Man, Leonard Baker told me one time, he was mentioning to me that, I don't know who it was, they played the pros.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Baker gonna get me if I don't get this right. He said you would know about it. It was, I don't know what team it was, but they said they ended up beating the pros one time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea of that?
Yeah, that was over at Crenshaw.
Oh, was it at Crenshaw?
I was coaching that team.
Were you?
Yeah, they had Crenshaw. It was a Crenshaw league, and one of the Crenshaw teams got kicked out the league for fighting.
Right.
And first, Joe Weekly didn't want us in the league.
Why?
Because we was from the east side, and they always thought the east side come with trouble. Yeah, and so when that team got kicked out, and Joe didn't never like to have no empty spaces, so he called Dino.
He did?
See if Dino wanted to put a team in. So we put our team in. We mix it with a few cheaters. You know, I had Casper and Dane Suttle in the backcourt.
Is that
Fremont
right?
connection, yeah.
Wow.
And you know, and I had Dirk Robinson, my boy, you
Wow.
know, and Stanley Montgomery, you know,
Is that right?
Calhoun. We had all the fellas
Right.
together, and I was coaching that team. And then we came in and ran off like 10 straight.
What? Is that right?
Yeah, and then a fight broke out. Baby Lou Coleman, you probably know Lou Coleman.
Yeah.
And Dane got into a scuffle in the middle of the gym that day. Joe wanted to put us out anyway because, see, he invited us in there. No knock on Joe, was my guy, you know.
Right.
But he invited us in there just to fill in a spot. He
Right.
didn't know that we was going to run the table like
Right,
that.
right.
'Cause we
So
was
he
beating
wanted
up,
y'all out because y'all starting
we
to-
beat up on Wes Matthews and Darwin Cook and all them pro dudes.
Wow.
And that's how the Drew really got the name.
Right.
Like, these dudes is for real. They had Robert Smith, you know, Pookie, you know, all them dudes was playing in the league at the time.
Is that right?
Yeah, on their team.
Wow.
Against our regular just neighborhood high school stars, junior college stars, you know, wasn't really no pros
Right,
on our
right.
squad. Cass and Onion, they went for like 75 to combine, you know.
Wow.
You know, they was the best in the city anyway, them two.
Yeah.
They was the best backcourt in Fremont history.
Right.
So, you know, I had both of them on my team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So now, back then, Gino got it cranked back up.
Cranked it back up.
And how did he get these teams back coming, you know? How did he draw them back in?
Well, it was a lot of teams from the neighborhood at the time, like the Gassers, you know, the Chic Unique, them little neighborhood teams, they always was for sure shoe-ins.
Right.
Because the league fee went by like $100 back then.
Right.
So everybody put up $15 or $10. You know,
Right.
referee fee was like $12, you know. So, you know, they just stayed with it. Then we started adding West Side teams.
Right.
A little bit here, a little bit. Then we started going further east to the Pueblos. This team from Jeff called the Demos.
Yeah.
They came over. 90s Great Elementary, where they used to play, you know, Jordan dudes used to play at the elementary. And I got Freddie Blue and Calhoun, and I told them, y'all need to bring a team over here and show these dudes how it really go.
Is that right?
And they came and won 4 straight championships in a row.
Some boys from over there in the hood.
Calhoun, Kevin Wolf, all them boys, you know.
Is that right?
Yeah, Freddie Blue, Nate Carter, all the real Jordan dudes.
Won 4
'Cause
in
see,
a row.
Yeah, they play defense. See, them dudes over here.
You mean Dino gonna let them come in there and do that?
Yeah, they came in and took it from 77 all the way to like maybe 82.
Well, one thing I do admire, though, that Dino was 16 and had a team.
Yeah, and he could coach too. He know what he doing.
He do?
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
I wonder who taught him how to coach. Because
Playing,
he wasn't playing.
he played for Al. On
He
that.
did?
Yeah, Dino used to conduct.
Is that right?
Man, with that one hand, he had the big hands.
Yeah.
Dino, that George McGinnis, that's what I used to call
Dino
him.
played for Al?
Yeah.
Well, you
On
know.
his Al Youth Service team, the Royals.
Is that right?
Sure, yeah, Dino.
Well, you know, I want to
Dino
let people...
could play. People
man,
didn't know
I
that.
want to let them know I was a Royal, too. Don't get it twisted. I'm part of the royalty of the
Yeah.
Drew
Oh, for sure.
organization, too. Brown. The man at the Brown's Neighborhood podcast. You know,
Right.
I got to make sure I get my little something in, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, I put on that green and gold, and Al coached me, too. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was more like a football player.
Yeah.
I had to be part of the family. I got mine, so it's good.
Yeah, for sure.
So Dino played as a Royal before.
Yeah, he
You know what I'm
played for
saying?
Al.
Did you ever remember them guys like Carlin Johnson, them? You know,
I was coaching at Fremont when they was playing varsity. I had the B's and C's.
Is that right?
Yeah, I had Todd and them. Todd and Clarence Worship. Remember Clank?
Yeah, remember
Clarence Worship, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I had all them boys.
So
They was
what,
playing
dude,
for me.
You was still in the trenches, huh,
Yeah.
man?
Bobby Brown got me that job.
Is that right? Man, see, you were supposed to just tell a brother that I got to dig all of that up out of you.
Yeah.
Is
for sure.
that right? So I mentioned Carlin Johnson, and then he started
lived on
talking
Mary.
about... Huh?
He lived on Mary.
Yeah. Boy,
from Mary Street.
Mary produced a pretty good product.
Yeah, and
You know, I mean, that was one of the nicest streets
Kevin
in the
Thompson
neighborhood.
on that Kevin Thompson
On that football team.
was the man. He played center.
Yeah,
and you couldn't get past him.
No, you couldn't pass. He was a roughneck.
Yeah,
Eric ain't as rough as Kevin.
yeah. Kevin
grew up with some dogs.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
Eric was like a puppy.
He grew up with Loudermill and all them dudes.
No disrespect.
Them Fremont, them dudes in '78 if it wasn't for Smitty's stupid ass, they probably would have won. Excuse me.
Man, you say the same thing I say about Smitty. Boy, he had some good product though. He had some good product. Right. He just didn't, he just lose his mind.
Yeah, he go way over balance. Smitty was always had that outside. I used to hang around with him a little bit because he played horses too.
Right.
You know, when he was staying in Inglewood.
Yeah. Driving around
he had that
little
night.
Benz.
Yeah, he had that nightlife. Being the booty club. With the girl. That was Smitty's type of life.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
After dark.
After dark. Yeah,
He
but
down
then
in them
he'll
strip
make
clubs.
sure he'll get there at work on time. So he was with the swing. Yeah, Smitty was with the swing.
He was?
Yeah, he'd be out there.
Swinging?
Yeah, I mean, out there at them clubs,
Yeah.
Most teachers or coaches wasn't really like that. But
Right.
Smitty was.
He was? Mm-hmm. You know what the hell he was doing?
Yeah, he was out there.
Wow.
Yeah, playing horses big time. He been playing horses forever.
Right, I know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boy, Smitty, boy.
He lived right around the corner from the track on Myrtle.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Right across the
Smitty,
street
we
from
love you, but boy, we got to tell the story. We can't let you get away, Smitty.
Yeah, Smitty was. He
Ain't let
was
you
my
get
guy
away.
though.
Well, you come on the cast, we ain't gonna let you get away. We gonna tell it like it is, because if we never tell anything, we never know.
Right. Yeah.
See, and a lot of times people they don't get to hear the truth. We'll be thinking Smitty was just an all-American man. He out there clubbing and everything else.
Oh, yeah, Smitty.
Should have been telling us ball players what we need to do to get to the next level. You know what I'm saying? He just wants you to pass and play.
Yeah.
When he should be telling the kids, man, you got to get these grades this way if you want to get to the university.
Right.
Because everybody didn't come up in a household where their parents knew the educational system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, on that team that Eric's brother played on, a lot of them dudes should have been D1. Quite a few of them.
Right, right.
The Mark Fulchers,
right.
Them dudes,
Yeah.
Loudermill, them,
Yeah.
all
Victor
them,
James and them.
yeah, all them dudes, they should have been D1s all the way.
Wow.
With the plug that Tajai had
Right.
with Arizona.
Tajai, we need you on this cast, man.
Yeah.
I seen him one day, he's still, out there doing his thing.
Yeah.
He said he had to put one more kid through school. So,
yeah.
Tajai, come on down to tell the story. We want to know what really was going on. He talked to me about it and was running it down to me, about the whole system, how things was.
Yeah.
So we need to hear it from somebody that lived it.
Right.
See what I'm saying? There's a difference when you just heard about it. Yeah. But see, when we talk about this Drew thing, you done lived it.
Right.
You was all over there as Fremont coaching Ty. Ty was pretty good.
Yeah, Ty. Yeah, he was my defensive specialist.
Was he?
I put Ty in. He shut all the bad boys down.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. I still got that record over there, Fremont, 63-2. We didn't lose but 2 games in 3 years.
Was Todd on that team?
Yeah, he'll tell you.
Boy, I'd better tell Todd,
yeah. And that was B's and C's.
Right.
But see, when it came time for me to get a promotion,
right,
Steve Lang, you know him,
the track coach,
was on my side.
Right.
But they put me in the Drew category, because Drew and Bethune dudes wasn't getting along.
Right, man.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So
wonder why.
Sam is from Bethune. No knock on him. He's my guy for sure.
Okay.
But he from Bethune, and then he was letting the Bethune dudes play, and the Drew dudes was like not getting the run they should have got.
Well, you know what, man? It's kind of a trip that you say that, because I had Antoine on here. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of saying the same thing.
For sure.
That the guys at Bethune would get a little more pass than the Drew guys.
Right.
Boy, that's something, ain't it?
Yeah, and they would have fights after the season is over. the Drew dudes and the Bethune dudes, because I was working in the gym after school too for a while. You know, opening the gym after we practices over. You know, I had Tajai got me that little youth service, little extra cash. You know,
you stayed in the mix, man.
Yeah, so you know, I seen all this stuff going down with the Drew dudes, and you know they always put me with them because I played ball there in the Drew League and stuff like that. But they didn't realize, those that didn't know me like that, they didn't know I didn't go to Drew.
Right.
But they thought I did because of me being over there.
Man, you were so deep embedded in the Drew scene, like you.
Exactly. I was supposed to go to
teacher
Drew.
or something over there.
All my transcripts went to Drew from '96. But then when it came time for the real registration, they was like, "Oh no, he got to go over there."
Right.
And that kind of hurt me a little bit because I wanted to be with my boys, you know, because I knew the Jordan dudes didn't really. The Jordan dudes from the elementary over there and Markham dudes didn't like the Drew dudes.
Right.
So I knew it was going to be a divide.
Wow.
And it took me a while to ingratiate myself with these dudes at Markham because they know I probably was the only one living on Compton Avenue. The majority of them dudes lived on that side by the projects, or a lot of them lived in the Nickersons.
Okay.
You know, like Larry Gray and them, they lived in the Nickersons.
Is that right?
Yeah. And Dennis Biddle and them, they lived in the Imperial Courts.
So as the Drew League started to grow,
Right.
how did it end up going over to Washington?
Washington?
What did it ever go over to Washington?
Oh, Washington Park?
Yeah.
They built a gym.
Okay.
Kenneth Hahn and them put a gym up there.
Okay.
Brand new gym. And it was getting kind of small over there because now we done got notoriety. And there's a lot of people coming in. It was just limited little, you know, the little 3-4 row bleachers on one side.
Right.
And it just got to be a little small for how the league had grown. And then even at Washington, it wasn't a whole lot of seating, but it was a little bigger, better facility than Drew.
Right.
And then the principal thing started. Miss Brown retired, you know, and then here come a Hispanic lady came in and she started changing the rules and y'all can't play this and do, you know, and all this crap.
Right.
So Dino was working at Washington Park.
Is that right?
He just retired from there a couple of years ago.
Is that right? Park and Rec doing that?
He's over there 30 years.
Dang, Dino, boy, y'all laying in some good spots, though.
Dino's over there about 30 years, about 29 years.
Is that
straight?
right?
Yeah, he ain't never went to no other park.
Wow.
By it being his league, you know, he just brought it over there.
I mean, look how that worked out, though.
It worked out for like 2008, 9, 10, whatever the lockout year was. It really blew up when Kevin Durant and Kobe and LeBron and all them came.
over.
It's just Barron brought LeBron down there. Davis brought LeBron, and I had told Jelly Bean, Kobe's daddy, rest in peace.
Right.
I played on the same team with Jelly Bean over at Cal State LA in the Summer Pro League in '77. Yeah. So I had been knowing Joe.
Right.
You know, but that's before Kobe was born. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Joe been knowing me a long time. So
Well, Bill, boy, you sure been putting in some work.
yeah, I tried to do
You been putting
for my neighborhood. It wasn't only for Drew; it was for the hood.
Yeah.
I keep telling them that. You know, everything I did, it wasn't for the money; it was for the hood.
Right.
Because they never gave me a dime to do nothing.
Is that right?
Yeah, Alvin used to most times he's like, Bill, when I moved up there before he left, before he gave it up, he was like, Bill, you done moved up there, man. Who I'm gonna get to announce? I said, Al, I'm coming. You know, I'll be here. Don't worry about it.
Is that
He used to
right?
always try to give me a little money, like gas money. I said, I'm good, Al.
Wow.
That's one thing I didn't need was no bread. I was good, you know.
Man.
You know, so
You had that much bread?
I had a nice little chunk of bread.
Why?
Because I had just moved from Fox Hills
What?
to Upland. I stayed on Canterbury and Green Valley
So
Circle.
you was making some good moves.
Yeah, a lot of good moves.
Yeah, good moves.
Always
You was
been a-
always a smart guy, though. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
Smart guy. You carried yourself very well, man. You know what I'm saying? So another young guy, if he, you know, can glean things from you, was always neat and clean, carried yourself right.
No drugs, no drinking.
Yeah.
Never in my life. That's what saved my life from this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The doctor said if you
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He remind me of my boy Mike Houston. He ain't clean as you though, but
Yeah.
you know, he squeaky clean, you know. He ain't doing
Mike's a good dude.
Mike a real good dude, you know what I'm saying?
He used to always...
He come right up in the neighborhood too.
Yeah.
You know, but Mike is a good dude.
Yeah, that's my guy. He always give me love.
Yeah. I try to mention him all the time because he done really done a lot. He a behind the scenes kind of guy, you know what I'm saying? He'll do things. Been very supportive of me, you know what I'm saying, Mike? So sometimes you got to tell brothers thank you for that kind of stuff.
When he see me at the gym, he'll come all the way on the other side of the gym to give me a hug, you know.
Yeah.
Always.
He gonna give you that little laugh he got, you know. yeah, that's my boy there. Yeah.
He always tell me, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah,
said, all right,
just
now, let me know.
Let
Let me know. I said, I'm good.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. That's him.
But the love they show me at the Drew is unheard of. You know, I have no regrets for what I've done.
Right.
You know, like I said, it wasn't for financial gain. It was for the hood.
Right.
Because I'm going to watch bread, you know.
Right. Yeah,
They don't. A lot of dudes didn't know that, though.
Right.
Because when you don't go to Fremont with them,
right.
you know how somebody, like my cousin Stan, he went off to Southgate. And he kind of lost the respect when he went there. So they were like, why ain't he going to go over there? How come he just couldn't go to Jordan?
Right.
You know, like that. So.
Well, you know, a lot of times people trying to figure things out, trying to make what they think is better life moves.
Yeah.
You know, for their life and stuff like that. And
he was actually scared to go to Jordan.
Well,
a lot of people was. I didn't really know how it was going to turn out either.
Yeah, because, you know, they live just a wall away, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was a football game, they'd be all on the wall. You had to have some heart to go to Jordan.
And my sister was, you know, at the time, she was dating and messing around with Arthur Day, you know, and they had that whole,
right?
Yeah, so she was connected.
Them Day boys?
Yeah, she was connected
with
that,
right?
you know, and you know, so it was like I just fitted in like family.
Yeah, man. Once you was, you know, part of that,
right?
You know.
So I ain't there. I walk through the projects with my cleats and stuff. 8 o'clock at night, straight through the projects up 97 to my crib. Nobody there. What's up, Bill? You know, what's up, Bill?
Yeah. Well, you carried yourself real good, Bill. I must say, if nobody ain't ever told you, boy, you carry yourself like a champion.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Real good, man.
You know, by being the only boy in the family and I'm the youngest of 4 sisters, my pops taught me how to carry myself dealing with these females.
Right.
What you don't do is fight them, for sure. Mm-hmm. It's better to walk away and let them fight with their own mind.
Right.
You know, instead of you going upside there, because you're a man, you got more power than they do.
Right.
You're probably going to be 6'4", 6'5". That's what he used to tell me when I was a little kid.
Is that right?
He'd say, so stay neutral, and you remember, you can't out-argue a female.
Right.
He told me that. And it stuck with me as, you know, as I came up. When they start that, I'd be like, oh, I'm cool. I'll get in the car and go play basketball or something.
Right.
I'll be back.
So you know. Drew League became a success.
Yeah.
Out of the neighborhood.
For sure.
You get LeBron to come down there, it had to be some kind of, you know, he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know. And
it was Kobe that really set it on
the tone.
Kevin Durant started the fire, and then LeBron boosted it, and then Kobe just set the whole thing off. Because Kobe had never played in no East Side leagues. Right. He played once over at the Rutgers.
Right.
You know,
the Rutgers
I had
in New York.
seen Jelly Bean actually at the Fox Hill Mall because I was living over there at the time, off and on, you know.
But, you know, Bill, you had to been making some decent money. You're going to be living in Fox Hill.
Yeah.
And then you going to move to Upland.
Yeah, I moved to Upland, man. It was...
you was making some good decisions, man.
Yeah, man, I had to...
Who was telling you all this stuff, you know, and you just knew?
I had a friend that lived in, you know, I never thought Rancho Cucamonga was a real city. Mm-hmm. You know how people used to say, man, I'll chase your butt all the way to Cucamonga. You know, was like a cartoon.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine lived in Upland on East Ontario off of Euclid in the 10 freeway. Mm-hmm. A girl named Jamie.
Right.
And I used to go up there and visit her, and her mom and them was all cool with me. And one day she said, let me take you around Ontario and show you what's going on. Now, it wasn't hardly nothing then.
Right. When
I moved there in September 84. And I was like, wow, I just seen a whole new picture. You know, it just popped in my mind.
Right.
I was like, shit. And I'm paying $900 for a townhouse in Fox Hills back then in '84. Can you imagine what it is now? Probably like 3 racks, huh?
Man, if not more.
Yeah. So on Greenberry Valley Circle, right around there, where you can walk to the mall, go up to the little park.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, went out there with her and hung out, and I seen this spot. I was like,
Well, how you know to go to the Fox Hills? At that time, if you living over there, you know.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
You know.
I moved there in '81. I stayed there 3 years to '84. I just wanted to get out of the hood. It was my first time getting out the hood.
Right.
Like in the West Side area.
Right.
And I was rolling around over there looking at those apartments. They always got something for rent, townhouses and all that. And I found one, and the lady rented it to me, and I was like, cool. Because I always save my bread,
Right.
And
so you knew how to handle your money.
for sure, by myself. I stayed there 3 years by myself. And when I went up to Upland with her and seen how that was, and it wasn't hardly nothing. It wasn't all this stuff they have now. I was like, this is low-key quiet. You ain't got to worry about nobody knocking on your door. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you already know when you have little bread, people want to be your friend.
Man.
You already know, Bush.
Yeah.
I know you've been through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
everybody want to be
everybody want to be your friend then. And,
you ain't got shit. Yeah. They don't even know you.
Yeah, they don't know you. Let me have this, and long as I said, I'm gonna get some distance between this. Evidently, Fox Hills ain't far enough. So I hit that 10.
They can drive over there.
Yeah, I hit that 10. Once I hit that 10, it was like, then I would throw some barbecues at the crib, like the Super Bowl, and invite Dino and them would come up.
Is that right?
Because I stayed on the corner. My street was in and out.
So Dino became a legend himself.
He's definitely a good all-around great guy.
Yeah.
Person-wise, I tell him, don't never let nobody change the way you are.
Right.
Because this is what got you where you are.
Right.
You're going to have some times where you feel like the weight is heavy, but keep being Dino.
Yeah.
If
he been in the trenches as long as like you talking, he coaching at 16.
Yeah, and knew what he was doing. He wasn't just standing on the sideline. He was orchestrating, winning championships in the Drew back in the 70s.
Wow.
And that's when it was, we had the Michael Coopers, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Before Elijah Wan and them came, Vi Slammer Jammer, they was playing in Drew. They coached Terrence Kirkpatrick, rest in peace, was bringing them down there.
Dino, you had a vision, brother. It's just like passing the torch and another brother picking it up.
That's what I said in the documentary. I said Dino had a vision, and he took the torch and he ran with it.
Yeah,
he did.
I mean, I'm just hearing it and trying to,
And Dino's, Dino ain't never been really scared of nobody, but he not that type of dude.
Right.
That want a confrontation with you.
Man, he should want that.
Yeah, but see, dudes back then, they had. Now I used to get pissed off with them dudes,
Right.
Because I was always the one that had the pistols and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
From what I came up with my folks on Compton Avenue.
Right.
So they taught me to always keep something,
right?
Just in case.
You never know.
You never know. So it would piss me off so bad when somebody tried to disrespect him. Mm-hmm. It's like I brought this brotherhood,
right?
Because
very humble brother.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We took him to the Carolina West one night. His mom would let him go if I went. Miss Smiley, rest in peace, beautiful lady.
What Dino doing up in the West, man?
Well, he was in between a girlfriend, and that's when he met his wife, Stephanie, in the club.
At the Carolina?
Yeah.
What?
Carolina West.
Yeah, man.
They show it if you ever see the documentary, you will see it.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. They'll be talking about it. Me, him, Daryl Jones.
Green-eyed Daryl?
Yeah. Me, Daryl Jones, Dayton, his brother, and Dennis Mosley.
Is that right?
We was all there that night when he met Stephanie.
Is that right?
And they wind up getting married and everything.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It was meant for him to be there.
It was meant for them to be there, yeah.
Wow, wow. Hey, boy, he needs to thank whoever invited him to come that night.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever invited you, Brother Dino.
We was trying to get him, but Miss Smiley was kind of cautious about who they went with. And she said, well, she was always fun to me. Is Bill going?
Mm-hmm.
And
gone.
Yeah, you can go.
Yeah.
Because I stayed right around the corner, Mary.
Right.
You know, he right there on 89th. I'm right on Mary.
Right.
You know, she seen I was a little family man, had kids.
And that changed. That might have changed his life.
It did.
Changed
30-some years they've been married.
Yeah, man.
2 kids.
He's solid as a rock.
Dino, he's a great dude. I you know.
Yeah,
Still
Dino,
to this
man,
day, I get pissed off if somebody try to treat him foul. He know it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because he know I'll be the one to
But
say
keep
something.
being who you are, man. Don't come out your character for nobody.
No, never.
You know what I'm
die
saying?
this way.
God has not only blessed you in so many ways.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I can't say I ever seen a hungry day in my life.
Right.
You know.
So just imagine, man, if that Drew League wasn't in existence, how many cats would be missing out on some of that, you know, good times and competitiveness and all of that that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So
they never thought it would reach this platform.
Right.
Whereas we went from the moms and pops to the #1 league in the nation.
Wow.
We have a Drew League in China.
Is that right? Boy, old Drew.
They come down every year. Them Chinese dudes come down. The coaches bring the youngsters down. Whole team. They fly 18-hour flights to come watch the Drew League.
Is that right?
And they come in with their jerseys on, 16 to 12 of them, you know. Come in and sit up at the top, Dino, them take care of them, you know. Make sure they straight.
Look here, old Charles Drew done.
Drew, that school, that little middle school.
That little middle school is on the map, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
But you have your status, because that football thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man, it helped my life.
I was so glad when you went to Jordan. I was happy.
Oh, man, you know, and Coach Washington, you know, accepted me. You know, Smitty was doing a little tripping.
Yeah, he sure was. I remember that when you was at Fremont.
Yeah, you know. So I couldn't be playing with him, you know what I'm saying? He tried to pull us, you know, strong arm, do what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Get in the weight room. Do, you know, I'm out here running around, you know, try to have some fun.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But,
see, Smitty wasn't from the hood. He didn't understand that. You know?
So I ain't going to let you play. Oh, he told me, but you ain't going to let me play. Mm-hmm. Okay, I ain't tell him. I went on over there to Coach Washington, told him, hey, man, what I need to do, be a dog. Check on in. It was all over there from there. You know what I'm saying?
I went to a few of them games.
Don't be a dog. I said, well, look here. Once you give me that uniform, I'm going to show you what's going to go down.
That was a bad. That was a team there, boy.
Yeah, you know, because they had started being on the map. You know, I mean, man, about 3 or 4 years in a row before I got there.
Right.
They was, man, they started. Coach Washington had started building a little legacy over there.
Yeah, he did.
You know, and that's why, you know, he even went on over to Southwest. And changed that program around. You know, he had a few cats go pro out of that program.
Yeah.
You know,
Washington went to the Cowboys.
Yeah, Washington went to the Cowboys and won championships too.
Yeah, he did.
So, you know, anytime if you can save one, really, you done a hell of a job. But he saved a whole lot of us.
Was Chris Sugar's quarterback when you was here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that boy can do it.
Boy, he was sweet as
he was sweet. Boy.
He was.
He
smooth.
had that footwork in the back.
Yeah.
They was trying to put Eric Bullock up with him. I was like, I don't think so. Chris Sugars was sweet.
Eric was a bad boy. You know, because Eric Bullock was over at Southgate.
Yeah, I used to talk to his sister years
Eric
ago.
Bullock?
His older sister. No,
Chris Sugars.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
When she came out with us in 73, 74.
Is that right?
Yeah, so dude was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had that footwork in the backfield.
Wow.
Then they had you running that ball.
Man,
come on, man.
Oh man, it was sweet. It was, you know, when life like that happened, it ain't nothing you want to change it for the world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
People was telling me, they said, man, Washington got a whip over there. You know, what she done went over there. I was like, what? Man, I had to come see.
Man, old coach he was a hell of a guy, man.
Played Southgate at night or something at Southgate.
Yeah. Coach was a good guy, man. He, you know, like I said, he's still doing all right too. You know, so he finally retired from over there at Southwest.
Yeah, he was over there for like 30 years.
Durrell Divinity, you know, the running back that was with me,
right?
He's over there now. So
ain't one of them a sheriff or something, a police, one of them divinities?
It might be. Now I don't know if Durrell's a teacher too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, one of them. Vanity Boys was in
Yeah.
law enforcement.
But at least he passed the torch, you know what I'm saying? And so another brother is carrying it on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, Mike Montgomery, the police Mike. You know, his wife went to Jordan with me.
Is that right? Boy, that's why I'm trying to tell you.
Deborah
boy,
Montgomery.
There's some good things in this neighborhood. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bill, we want to, you know, eventually, like I say, because I'm going to try to do something for my boy Raby, but we want to give you a little something for coming on, you know. It's just something, it make me feel, let me feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody want to say, man, give me mine before I go. Don't tell me how you feel about me after I'm gone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Bill, I want to just say, man, you have carried yourself like a true professional.
Right.
You know,
Appreciate that.
You are a true legend to the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that come up from, you know, mom and dad raising you too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they
So,
did.
man, I just want to say, man, one of the biggest things, man, thank you for coming on and talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Even about the Drew League and stuff like that. Because sometimes you be wanting to know.
Right.
And so you don't want to go to the smaller cat.
Right.
You want to go to somebody that really know and be honest about it. Also can even tell you the life of what Dino done put in it.
Yeah, he put his heart, soul, and sweat in this league.
Yeah. So
You know, wasn't always gravy like kind of like now.
right.
You know,
right.
a lot of times he felt like throwing the towel in.
Right.
Which I spoke of in the documentary.
Is that right?
And I called Steph, you know, his wife, and she said, I told Steph, I said, I think Dean want to throw the towel in. She said, no, he ain't going to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it got a little stressful to him, you know, because all the weight was on him.
Yeah, man, if you're dealing with a lot of cats, man.
Yeah, everybody got because you know you go to school with these dudes, so everybody got their hands out. Man, give me it, man. Give me some shoes, man. I need a sweatshirt. I need to, you know.
And you can't do it for everybody.
can't.
Somebody gonna miss. Somebody gonna get missed. It's almost like when somebody trying to tell everybody thank you, say if he one of them artists, and then he get up there and they give him the accolades, he trying to mention everybody's name.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna get missed.
Right.
You know what I'm
I ain't
saying?
never had to ask him because he'll always, some kind of way I'll cross his mind if he got a lot of gear and stuff, and he'll like, Still Daddy, you know, he called me Still Daddy. He's like, Still Daddy, I got some gear, man. I'm going to drop it off. I have Brandy run around, you know, my daughter.
Right.
Have Brandy run by the house and pick it up, you know, like vitamin water, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Under Armour, drinks, everything.
Yeah, well, Brown's neighborhood want to give you a token of love, you know, just for showing up. And I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to stand right on over there so they can take a picture. So you know what I'm saying? You know, some things just need to be documented.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
sure.
saying?
I try to,
you know.
Yeah, I tell her like the honest way that I know it.
Yeah.
It's never no knock on nobody. I just
Well,
tell
no,
her. Like,
I mean, because see, if you wouldn't have told me you was coaching B and C over there with Todd, because Todd told me he played, you know, B over there and stuff
Yeah,
like
he played
that.
for me.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even, you know, he didn't say who was the coach.
Right, yeah.
And he didn't tell me what the record was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we still have that record for freshmen.
See what I'm saying? So
63-2.
wow.
We
You
lost
know?
2 games in 3 years.
Yeah, you know, even when you was just saying, man, he kind of got, you know, caught up or whatever.
Yeah.
Just all of those little things that be said, you know.
Yeah, Todd didn't deserve to go out that like that. Them dudes was something else, man. I was pissed off with them dudes about that.
Yeah.
You know, but he made it out. He good.
Made
You know,
it
he
out.
stayed grounded. You know, he hit me up every now and then. And, you know,
Yeah,
check on
he even
me.
hit me up before I came on the cast. I wanted to call him, but I'm gonna let him know, you know, because we all went to elementary together.
Yeah, all of y'all,
know?
all y'all was
Yeah.
in that same little era.
In
Leonard
that
Baker,
same era. Yeah, Leonard Baker. Baker.
Antoine.
Yeah, Antoine.
All of y'all.
Man, it's some real good troopers, man. I grew up with some good dudes. Like Eric over there.
Yeah, well, that's my boy.
Yeah, he grew up on Mary. He was like one of the puppies. And the rest of them was like the dogs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
But,
Eric.
you know, the puppy have to grow up sooner or later.
Eric was, you know, always a respectable kind.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
always give you props. You know, he was that kind of dude.
Yeah.
Nobody disliked Eric. You know,
No,
he was just always that dude,
That's
man.
my dog, boy. He all right.
You
You
know.
know, he was in school and the teacher hit me,
my
hit
girl.
me on the hand with that ruler, he should have grabbed her.
Right.
Well, he didn't do nothing. He stand his ground, you know. he stand his ground. Yes, he was saying, "But you all right? You all right, man?"
Yeah.
You know, I need to go down to the prison. I need to go home and get my mom. We gonna come down here and turn this spot out.
Yeah.
You know.
My daughter's mom was fun to Eric, you know, because her son name is Eric.
Is that right?
So they've been knowing each other a long time.
Long
you know,
time. Hey, miss, good stuff come off of Old Mary Street, though.
Yeah, for
Golly.
sure. Yeah.
You know? I used to think, you know, they were, 85th had it all.
Y'all had
Oh, yeah, we had, we had some doctors and lawyers over there. And the Franklins was over there. You know what I'm saying? A lot of good stuff come off the five. So I don't want to.
Old Minute Brown, my guy though.
Yeah, Old Minute. Yeah.
Minute, my guy.
He
Yeah.
another guy that worked for Drew for who knows how long? 30 more years, 30 plus
27 years.
27?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Minute was the reason why we got in the gym.
Is that right?
In the 80s.
In the 80s.
Because a Minute was working there. Him and Mr. Williams, rest in peace.
Right.
Don was still teaching there.
Yeah.
You know, and they made sure that we didn't have no problem. You feel me?
Well, black folks, we're going to have to learn to work together in this thing, man. We did it then, we can do it now.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward for you to coming down there to do
Yeah,
group.
man, I'm gonna be there Saturday for sure.
Yeah.
You know, because when you say some of your older brothers tell you something, you need to listen.
Yeah,
so
come on down,
I'm
man.
definitely gonna be down there.
What you got going on, man, brothers would like to be a part of it. You know, and just know that hey, somebody cares. Somebody want to hear the truth about how all this thing got started. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause like I said, I ain't never got paid to do nothing, so I don't have to tell no stories that's not true.
Right.
I tell it just like it is. Even if you Google me on Google and say who was the original announcer of the Drew, and it'll show you, and it'll say my no-nonsense professionalism that carried the Drew League to higher heights.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I just live the way I live. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. You know.
No, not at all.
Jesus married Mary Immaculate, had two sons, Cain and Abel, and they killed each other. You know, come on.
Yeah.
So it's just how you live, and I raise my daughters the same way. You know, to do what you need to do for you and yours.
Yeah.
And everything else will follow.
Yeah. And sometimes, when you see a cat, sometimes you be wondering, how did he grow up? How, and then to hear, that your mom and dad, your mom are educated, down working at the school, different stuff like that. Sometimes, I be wanting to know stuff like that, you know?
My father's uncle owned a barbecue place on 43rd and Avalon.
Wow.
Crawford's Barbecue for years. I worked there as a kid coming up, for a little extra money.
And it's good.
And then my mother's brother had the one on Central in 49th. Used to be Lowe's Barbecue. Used to sit right off the street by that senior citizen place right there. You might have ate there back in the day and didn't even know it.
You know what? See, and it's good that you say them things because some of the black young men, not only young, older ones too, need to know that if they could do it, coming back out of them country towns, and they could start a business with the technology and the wisdom that they got today, they can do it too.
Yeah, Pops, he had a vision.
Just gotta believe
he took it, and I was glad that I was a part of it. Because being the only son, I didn't really want to come back from the IE, but I had to do it for him because my sister and them didn't want it. I don't want to live on the east side, you know.
Right.
And I said, well, I'll take it. You know.
I'll take the responsibility.
Yeah, I took the responsibility and changed it around, and took care of the property, real decent.
Well, man, look here, you got to, because they work for that.
Yeah.
And they don't want to see it just given away.
For sure.
So on this Brown Neighborhood podcast, we're going to get out of here, man. We're going to thank Bill, but I'm also, I got to give Bill a token of my love. For real, I'm going to go in there, but I'm going to take this picture. I don't know if he ain't no token or nothing like that. He ain't deserve all of that.
Yeah.
He's still running the race like I'm running it, So until we meet again, God, I want to thank you for having Bill come down here and all of that. Love him, man. I love you, man. And you've been real good to the neighborhood. So it's a blessing you done gave your life, some of your life to it.
Most of it, yeah.
You know, because you ain't too many times you go in that gym you didn't see Bill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
There.
We coming up, boy, you know, because they'll keep that gym open to 10 o'clock at night sometimes, man.
Yeah.
It'd be like school the next day. The gym's still open. Like, man, I ain't never seen nothing like this. You can leave home 8 o'clock, go run down there.
We lived
and it's
in the
still
gym.
in the gym. The gym's still open. I said, Lord, man.
We lived in the gym.
How the school is this? This gym was open at 10 o'clock at night on the school day.
Right.
But, you know, it helped save some of us. I bet you that.
For sure. A lot of them, you know.
Definitely did that.
Yeah. I'm proud of the guys. I still see that still.
Thank you for working with old Pokey, too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you know.
He always had the quickness, and he had a funny kind of shot, and I tried to change it. I told him, the boy, you know, keep your elbow straight and the fingertip to palm and hold the pose. So after he finally got it together, man, Pokey lit that whole little Trade Tech league up.
Did he?
Man. Pokey was averaging like 30.
Is that right?
At Trade Tech, yeah.
Yeah, because he be working downtown. I passed through, I seen him.
Yeah, he always in them little soup places and stuff. That's why he got on for years.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you got to work. You got to live, you know. So, you know.
Yeah, I had to take him under my wing, get him right, you know.
So, hey, man, if you help one of them and it could save somebody's life, you done a whole lot.
His mom was kind of like, you know, under my wing and said, come on, man, you know, roll with me.
Right.
Took him to Trade Tech, told Richard Wells, I said, this dude can play.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to see.
And he did his
thing. He took
thing.
off, yeah. Polk was a bad boy. Already the Crenshaw League, Polk was averaging 20 in the Crenshaw League.
Was he?
Back then, yeah, in the 80s. And yeah.
I know he
was deadly, man. His shot was deadly. Yeah. Everybody will tell you.
Yeah.
Antoine and them will tell you Polk was deadly.
Wow.
He mastered it. He always had big hands for his size.
Right.
Big hands and big feet. Because he wasn't like a 10 and a half, 11 little as he is.
Right.
I wear 11 and a half, and I'm 6'5".
Right.
You know, so,
Right. Wow.
You know, so he had that.
Wow.
But he didn't have no knowledge of the game.
Right.
So I would just teach him stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taught him a little crossover. He got deadly with that.
Well, we want to thank the lady that brung you too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah,
for her time and her effort.
Trying to
it's about teamwork. Yeah, that make the dream work. I tell you that much.
Trying to season her in the L.A. Niagara Falls. You know, after the death of my kid's mom and stuff happened.
Right.
She said, "I'm gonna come down and and help you."
Wow.
You know, so I put her on to my IHSS so she, get some bread and so she's been great. Man. You know, I have my 25-year-old daughter that we had is at home. She got a 6-year-old, so they all work together. You know. Yeah. They accepted her just like that. You know. Yeah. So it ain't been no discrepancies. You know.
Man, like I said,
she's always up for things. I told her, I said, I don't know, it might be some jobs around here for you to do.
You know what I'm saying? Hey.
She's
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's in the opening. Because I don't desire all day work.
Right.
As long as I eat breakfast, and then my dinner, because I only eat twice a day. Mm-hmm. I don't need no babysitter. Right. You feel me? Because I be at the crib, I got all the TV stuff, Fire Stick. And,
well, Brown's neighborhood, we here to help people. We the Brown's Wellness Center, we got a Richmond Center. And God done been good, man. I can't. Man, I can't make no complaints. I just gotta tell God, just keep on helping me. And
this crap, but they don't realize this is the foundation.
Yes.
And a lot of brothers had it. Some of us didn't have the funds to push it. But some of us might have did. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, that's how everything rolls.
Well, man, I tell you, man, it takes some family help too. You know what I'm saying? You know, some of them want you to give them some, but boy, they get around me, they gonna work for every dime.
That's what they supposed to do.
You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna be a blessing.
Yeah.
But hey, Pops say, boy, just work with them. Don't never forget your family. You know what I'm saying?
You can't do that.
Sometimes, this is my nephew right there, boy.
He seemed like he in it to win it though.
He in it, but it seems like he need to be picking me up, but I'm picking him up.
Yeah.
But until then, God, we gonna get this thing over. I'm gonna get my picture with Steel Bill, the legend. We'll never want that to be forgotten that, because there's several legends in the league, several legends in the city. I'm trying to become one. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, hey, Butchie done came up and he ain't forgot. So I'm still putting my work in.
For sure.
And I'm going to say, God, thank you, man. Thank you for certain people that come on here is really special to my heart.
Right.
And I just love it. I love them. And I just want to say, God, thank you for this Browns Neighborhood podcast, because I didn't ever dream I'd even be, on the camera, so
yeah.
It's thank you. All I can tell you is thank you over and over again.
You got views, brother.
You know
I
what
tell
I'm saying?
you that. Everybody be hitting me up like I was like, no,
Right.
that's my boy.
Yeah.
I said he come from the hood.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Right off of Compton Avenue.
Yeah.
Right down the street from Drew. I could come out the house, I could see the school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Took many of my partners to the house, feed them, and go back to school. You know what I'm saying? Because they was hungry. And I'll come on down here, man. Let me whip something up.
Yeah.
And feed them and get on back down there to the school.
Yeah.
So,
Pancho he speak highly of you all the time.
Man, that's good,
Because at first he didn't even think, he was talking about you one day at the track. And he didn't know that I knew you.
Is that right?
Yeah, and then I was like, Butchie?
Yeah.
Daniel Brown?
Right.
Oh, he said, I was like, come on, bro.
Man,
I've been knowing him since he was this little,
I'm trying to tell you, I'll be running through the gym. You over there shooting 3-pointers back when I don't even know when the 3-point shot even come into existence.
I think in the early 90s.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So this was deep shots back in the 80s.
Yeah, I was shooting them for a long time.
Deep. Trying to look real sweet doing it too. I mean, man, you have to see this cat to know the real deal. He looking sweet, Oh man. But now, after he get to talking and telling how he went and worked after he got out of high school and
for sure.
All of that. It kind of put this together now. Because I was wondering where you getting the money from.
Yeah.
Where you getting the money to buy these clothes?
Yeah.
Sharp all the time. Clean.
Yeah.
Even Pokey started trying to wear his little socks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
It was good, man. I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world.
Right.
So I'm going to say, God, thank you again. And thank you for the Browns Neighborhood podcast.